Whether the team is performing clean or unsightly, we'll cover it all here on Washington Football Nightly. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. When it rains, it pours. And unfortunately for the Washington football team, this season they have not had an umbrella. Washington football team cornerback Benjamin St-Juste sustained a concussion during practice this week. His second of the season, if you recall, he sustained a concussion earlier this season that kept him out of a ball game. This will be the second game he's missed this season due to a concussion. And, that gets me a little worried. We've dealt with concussions here with this organization before, most notably Jordan Reed. Once you've had one, you're more susceptible to getting them in the future. And so that's 2 in 1 season for Benjamin St-Juste. So, yes, I am a little concerned. We'll see the severity of this by how long he's out for. But remember, yesterday, he cropped up on the injury report. I told you guys from the jump, I don't like surprises. They're never good on the injury report. So he wasn't on the injury report Wednesday. So the assumption is that the concussion was sustained on Wednesday's practice. Because on Thursday, he was on the injury report with an illness. And remember, I said, I got to stop, downplaying illnesses. Like, they're not human or something. We don't know the severity of it. He may not feel like himself. He may not play this week. Well, little did I know that illness, that nausea that he felt, was due to having symptoms from a concussion. So Benjamin St-Juste is out in this game, and this is one of the weeks we could ill afford. First and foremost, let me say, speedy recovery, Juice. Okay? He's been one of the more consistent players, not just on the defense, but on this team. And to be saying that about a rookie that I talked so much cold hard cash about when we drafted him says a lot. He's been really good for us. And it's a shame because this is one of the weeks we could ill afford to not have Juice in the lineup. And he's going to miss this game. Luckily enough for us, the Buccaneers are going to be missing one of their top receivers. But they've got so many guys that can hurt you that we still needed all hands on deck for this game. And not having Juice is going to put us in a tough spot. Now, we will get William Jackson III back, which is good. But what William Jackson III are we getting? He talked today at the podium. I'll talk about what he had to say a little bit. But, if he comes back and he's continuing to still trying to find his way, it could be a long day. Truly, truly a long day. Like I said, Juice has been our best defender in that secondary. So to not have him in, arguably the toughest test of the season, not a good look. But you know what? As I look at this team, and I look at our situation this season and look at what we've dealt with from an injury standpoint, I'm not surprised. And like I said, when it rains, it pours. And, first Montez Sweat, then, you get the news of Logan Thomas re-aggravating or feeling tight with the hammy. Then you get the news of Curtis Samuel seeking another opinion from a doctor, which means he's not where he needs to be. And now you get this. If it's not one thing, then it's another, or it's the next thing, and then the thing after that. This season truly isn't meant to be for Washington. That's what all the signs point to. Now, they could go out, have a performance for the ages, and like we've seen the last couple of weeks, pull the massive, major upset. Highly unlikely. And Juice getting injured is just another reason as to why it is less and less likely that Washington pulls some kind of miraculous upset over the defending Super Bowl champion, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's a tough blow to this defense, one that we could ill afford to have. And now we're down one of our best and most consistent defensive backs heading into what is probably going to be the stiffest test we see from a defensive standpoint this season. So we transition to in other news, where we're going to take a look at this injury report for Washington and for the Buccaneers. We're catching a break with the Buccaneers and some of their injuries. Um, the two injuries in particular, I talked about them. I told you that I thought they were legitimate, but everybody else I think is going to play for the most part. So we'll take a look at their injury report, and then we'll talk about what was said at the podium today. Heard from a few different people. Coach Steve Russ, who coaches the linebackers, Ron Rivera stepped up, and obviously William Jackson III, as I mentioned earlier in the show. We'll talk about all those guys and then some. But let's take a look at the injury report for both teams heading into week number 10. So no surprises here after, the Juice news. There's no surprises here. I told you the two guys that were definitely out, Curtis Samuel and Montez Sweat. I told you that Juice was a guy that surprised us yesterday showing up on the injury report. I was hoping that it wasn't anything serious. Well, we got the news today that it's, in fact, a concussion, and those are the lingering effects of that concussion. So Juice is out. That sucks, and it stings. It really, weakens the already suspect secondary to begin with. Everybody else is going to play. It's great to see, William Jackson and Cam Sims and Brandon Sheriff and Antonio Gibson for the first time in a long time, all not listed on the injury report. That's a great sign that all of those guys are good enough to go to the point where it's not a question of whether they're going to play. Do they have to test it out pregame to see if they can go? They're going to play. All of them are playing. As for Dyami Brown, Sam Cosmi, Sammy's Reyes, obviously those guys aren't where the rest of those guys that have been declared, a go for Sunday. They're not at that level yet, but I surmise that every single one of those guys will go. Dyami is the one out of the three that I look at and I say, there's a chance he may not be able to go. And I don't want to push him if he's not, because at this point, with Curtis Samuel missing the amount of time that he's missed and knowing that we can't rely on him at this point, Dyami can't be yo-yoing back and forth in and out of the lineup. We need him to stay healthy because at this point, I've already made this abundantly clear. I want to see the young fellas down the stretch of this season. Like, that's the only thing that is, literally must-see TV for me at this point with this football team is how do these young guys respond to getting an opportunity down the stretch of this season? And it is not just Dyami. It's Sam Cosmi. It's Jamin Davis. It's, Benjamin St. Juste when he gets back healthy and on the football field. Hopefully that's sooner rather than later. It's Shaka Toney. It's Bumney Rotini who's going to get an opportunity to be active this week. Like, there are a lot of young guys that I want to see get an opportunity and see what they do with it. And Dyami's one of those guys. So I don't want him out there because that's what we've done with him essentially is every time he's been, good enough to play, we stick him out there and next thing you know, he's hurt again. First, I remember, I want to say it was the Packers game, might have been the Saints game. First series of the game, he's out there. He's been, dealing with a nagging injury. He gets out there, first possession, he's down. We got to take a commercial break because Dyami Brown's hurt. I want to say it was the Packers game because he didn't come back. So, anyway, and we haven't seen him since the Packers game. So hopefully he can go, but if not, don't push it. If there's any doubt, don't push it. So this looks about right. This is what we talked about all week. And I expect every single guy to play that doesn't have an out next to their name. So feeling good about where we are, but not feeling great because we don't have, Curtis Samuel. We don't have Logan Thomas back. That would have been great. As for the Buccaneers, their injury report looks, a lot like ours in the sense that we kind of knew who wasn't going to play. I told you Gronk was definitely out. But I said, L.A.B, there's a chance. But I told you he had already missed 2 games prior to our game, and the ankle injury was a serious one, as you can see. And I said, if he doesn't practice, I wouldn't be shocked if he's out. I said, look at L.A.B and Gronk as the 2 guys that could possibly be out. But I said, everybody else is playing. Chris Godwin is playing. JPP is playing. Now, interestingly enough, JPP, shoulder/hand, did not practice at all this week. Doesn't mean he's not going to play. And as you can see, he's questionable. I'm still going about my business as if he'll be out there. Because until he's not, I just assume he is going to be out there. So, the only other thing that we see now is D. Delaney, who's been a full participant the last 2 days, is listed as questionable. Again, he's insignificant in the grand scheme of things. They'd like to have as many healthy bodies at the cornerback position as possible because that's the place where they've been ravaged by injuries. And so they need all the depth they can get, but he's not a needle mover at all. So for the most part, Rashard Robinson is a DNP again after not practicing yesterday. He's not going to play. But the two big guys here, Gronk and A.B., both out. And we'll see about JPP and Chris Godwin. I like I said, think both of those guys are going to play. And we'll see what happens. But I feel like it's kind of even in the injury department, so to speak. You know, we got two big guys out. We have more than that, but on the injury report, that is. And they have two big guys out. So somewhat even. We'll see how that situation goes. So as far as the interviews or the press conferences goes today, Ron talked about a number of different things. One of the biggest things Ron talked about, and I'm trying to play back his presser from today in my head. He talked about, okay, so the biggest takeaway I had, it just came to me, was his, comments on Curtis Samuel, who, went to the doctor the other day to seek another opinion. And Ron said he is progressing. They're not giving up on him yet. They're going to see where he is next week. I'm over it. And I talked about this on the video yesterday on Watching Football Nightly. Let's just put this guy on the shelf for the rest of the year. Okay? At this point, what are we playing for? What do we have, to lose at this point in terms of we got nothing to gain and everything to lose with this guy. And when I say that, I say it tongue in cheek because, of course, if he comes out there, he plays well, and this offense gains confidence, that could bleed over into next year. But I'm more likely to be scared and nervous putting him out there and having something serious happen from an injury standpoint than I am excited about the prospects of him playing. Like the risks don't necessarily match, equal, or surpass the reward. And that's, or the reward, I should say, doesn't necessarily match, equal, or, surpass the risk of this situation. I just feel like with us being, 2-7 after Sunday, more likely than not, what's the point? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd rather not have him go through this next year. Have him be totally healthy, ready for OTAs, than him continue to try to get out here in a losing cause for a team that's not going anywhere, and then he does something to it, and then next thing you know, he's not ready when OTAs come around, and now we're on Curtis Samuel watch again next year as camp begins. Like, no one wants to do that. So hopefully they're going to make the right decision, but Ron is steadfast in continuing to wait this thing out and to see if he can get back healthy enough to help this team. I don't see it. I don't see Curtis Samuel being a help to this team this season, but we'll see. That's the only thing you do is wait and see, right? So Ron talked about that, and he talked about several other topics. I thought there was a dumb question asked, and I love Ben Standing, but this to me was a stupid question, and I'm glad Ron just kind of answered it the way that he did, which was, hey, you and the Buccaneers have had injuries this year, and that the team over there in the Buccaneers, they won the Super Bowl, and you talked about dealing with adversity, dealing with success, all of those things, and a maturity level that this team you feel like lacks. What's the biggest difference between the Buccaneers and Washington? Both of these teams did some good things. They've had injuries, you've had injuries, but yet they've been able to overcome them. Obviously they have a veteran leader in their locker room like Tom Brady, and Ron's looking like, okay, you could stop right there. Okay, you just said the reason why the Bucs are the inverse of what we are. That at 6-2 while we're 2-6. They got Tom Brady. Okay, like that's the dumbest question ever. Where you just, and Ben can be a little, loquacious. So you just asked a 2-minute question that requires a 2-second answer. It's Tom Brady. Like, yeah, we know the biggest difference between their team and our team. They got Tom Brady. And Ron was like, look, before they got Tom Brady, they were on the cusp, but they couldn't get over the hump. Every year they were 7-9, 8-8, or 9-7. and Brady shows up and they win a Super Bowl, and now they're poised to be, in the thick of things again this season, and be one of the top 3 seeds in the NFC when it's all said and done. And you need to look no further than Tom Brady. Like, what kind of question is that? Like, seriously. Um, the outside of that, there wasn't much to glean from Ron in his presser today. But then you transition to linebackers coach Steve Russ. I was good to hear from him. I hadn't heard from him for a while. And he talked about the development of Jamin Davis. And I love some of his analogies. I love some of his idioms and sayings that he used. Like one of the things he said, and I can't agree with him any more than I already do, is he's like, look, everybody wants, the microwavable success, with these young players where you put it in, you press the express 30-second button and you hear that ding and you open the door up to the microwave and you pull it out and you're ready to eat. And that's what everybody wants with these young players, especially ones that are drafted in the first round. And it just doesn't work that way, he said. And I've said this to you guys. I'm like, look, when we took Jamin Davis, I said, this is going to take time. He is not a ready to go, right out of the packaging, type of linebacker. This is not a guy that's a 3-year starter at Kentucky. This is a guy that was a 1-year wonder at Kentucky. And he's got all the workable traits and attributes you're looking for, but he's going to take time to mold into the linebacker that they want him to be. And Coach Russ said, look, this guy is learning, super smart, retaining information, love the way that he's attacking things now. He's seeing it and going much faster, but he's still a work in progress. So that was good to hear. He talked about Khaleke Hudson. I was really fascinated with what he said about Khaleke Hudson. And this is one of those situations, and we've all seen it, and we've all talked about this before, not necessarily specifically with Khaleke Hudson, but just in general. And I've talked about this, I know, numerous times. Not, again, specifically to Khaleke Hudson, but just in general, that when you're a master of many, when you're a jack of all trades, generally you're a master of none. And, that versatility that Ron speaks about all the time, positional flex, this, that, and the third, that's great. But it can also be a hindrance too, and I think that's kind of what's hampering Khaleke Hudson, and at least according to Coach Russ, because he said, look, Khaleke in college, this guy did everything, and I told you guys he was like the rover at Michigan. They called that position the Viper at Michigan, where you're a hybrid linebacker / corner / safety. So one play you could be lined up outside of the defensive end, and you're rushing up the field as a blitzer. The next play, you're 17 yards off the ball playing a little safety, and then the next play, you're mugging the A gap as a linebacker. The next play after that, you're off the ball linebacker, and then the play after that, you're out in the nickel covering a tight end or a receiver in the slot. And so he had so many different hats he wore for that Michigan defense that he was never truly a linebacker. And so when he got to the NFL, he had to learn how to play the linebacker, and he's still learning how to play the linebacker position. So I thought that was interesting, him talking about Khaleke Hudson, and he thinks he can be a really good player in this league, but he's just going to continue to take time. And so that was refreshing to hear. And then he talked about the growth and development of Cole Holcomb, and he said, look, Cole Holcomb is morphing into a really good linebacker for this football team. And it's just about confidence. Second year in this system, he's continuing to learn and grow. This is a guy that has had, different systems pretty much every year he was here. And now this is the first time he's been in a system back-to-back years. So he's getting more and more comfortable, and he's a great leader on that team, at the linebacker position for a group missing John Bostic now. Holcomb's had to step up, and he's done a really good job. So that was a little bit of what Steve Russ had to say, Coach Steve Russ, linebackers coach. And then he also made it abundantly clear. He says, I don't coach Landon Collins. Everybody just keeps assuming that Landon's working with the linebackers. Landon said it a million times, and Landon means it. And I told you, it's semantics, but this is what he wants everybody to know. I am not a linebacker. I am a safety. And so Coach Russ essentially said, he is not a linebacker. He's a safety. I don't coach him at all. He is not in my room. So there you have that. I said it's semantics. I mean, linebacker, safety, who gives a shit? As long as he keeps playing the way that he's playing, I don't give a shit what he calls himself. He can call himself the master and ruler of the world for all I care. As long as he's continuing to be a menace down around the line of scrimmage, I'll take it. So, and then William Jackson III spoke, and it was good to hear from him because we haven't seen him in almost a month with his injury that he was dealing with. And Ron disclosed earlier in the week that William Jackson III had been dealing with that injury remember, he hurt himself the night of, it was the week before the, the summer night, thing they did for the fans, like the fan appreciation night where they did the practice at FedEx. And remember, he didn't participate. He had a wrap on his knee that night. And I was like, that's interesting. I didn't know anything was wrong with him. And that thing has lingered. And so he's finally healthy now. And he's like, look, we're football players. We get paid to play with injuries and to not complain about it. So he's like, yeah, I've been dealing with it, but, that's what we do. We deal with it. So that was hampering him a little bit. But he's like, look, no excuses. I'm still growing. I'm still learning this system, and trying to use the footwork that they want me to use. And I'm just trying to get comfortable assimilating to the defense that they want me to play. In Cincinnati, I was pretty much a man-to-man, press corner. And now they got me doing a whole bunch of different stuff, which is fine. I just have to continue to adjust and get to where I am. So they asked him, what do you make of your season to this point? He's like, it's a roller coaster, There's a ton of ups and downs and around, and I'm just looking to stabilize things. So I like what I heard from him. Now it's about seeing action. Glad to hear that he's finally healthy. Let's see what he can do now, the second half and the back end of this season. Really looking forward to it because it's been rough for him, and a lot of people are coming down hard on him. I want to see him win and win big. So let's get to our final outcome of the game. And normally, I go first look, but I've already showed you, and I already told you I don't think we're going to win. So all of that stuff doesn't matter. I think we're going to lose this game 33-16. So you see the score up there. But I'm going to give you my keys to the game anyway, because who knows? Maybe we shock the world like the Jags did last week or the Jets the week before. Maybe it's our turn like the Dolphins did on Thursday night. More likely than not, it's not our turn. But why not? So Washington's offense versus Tampa Bay's defense. And I'll go through these quickly. The first key to the game, the red zone must be the green zone. For us, we can't call the red zone anymore. I'm officially changing the name to the green zone for Washington because we literally take red zone at its literal sense, in its literal sense of red zone, which means stop. This is the zone you stop in. No further, don't score any more points. Stop. No. Green means go. I need us to go in the red zone and get into the end zone. So it's no longer the red zone for us. It's the green zone, and we need money in the green zone. Okay? We need big bucks, no whammies, stop. And we need to stop on pay dirt. So no more red zone. We need the green zone. We have to score in the red zone. And I'm just going to say this. Our red zone percentage in this game can't be any lower than 66%. Okay, 66.666666, which means 67%. All right, can't be any lower than that because we got to have at least 3 red zone trips and we got to score on at least 2 of them. Or else we're going to lose, and we're going to lose badly, and we're going to get embarrassed. Anything lower than 67%, we're dead. 67% for those of you not well-versed in the math sphere, that's 2 of 3. Anything north of that, 3 or 4, which is 75%, 4 or 5, which is 80%, we're all gravy. We'll take it. That's winning right there. Anything north of 66, that's winning. If we score 3 touchdowns, we're going to have a chance to win this game. I just don't see us scoring 3 touchdowns because when the hell is the last time we've done that in a game? Next key to the game. Protect Taylor in the pocket. So this is paramount, man, because this Buccaneers defense, when they're locked in, they can be ferocious. We've seen what Vita Vea does to interior offensive linemen. I'm nervous because if he gets a one-on-one matchup with Tyler Larson, shit can get ugly really quickly. I'm watching, Vita Vea pick dudes up, dump truck them, and dump truck them, and put them in the lap of the quarterback. And this guy's dangerous. And so, and he's not the only one. Ndamukong Suh can still play. Jason Pierre-Paul, I think, is going to be out there. But the guy that's really a stud for them is Shaq Barrett. All of those guys can get to the quarterback. And even though we're going to get most of our offensive line back, obviously Chase Roulier will not be back the remainder of the season. But getting the whole right side back in Sam Cosmi and Brandon Sheriff is huge because the Broncos kicked our ass up front last game. They really dominated our front and made it tough on Taylor Heineke. So we can't revert back to that. And we've been really good this season. Outside of the Chargers game week 1 and week 8 versus the Broncos, this offensive line has been outstanding. But, the last showing was not a good one. Now we're getting some reinforcements back. Hopefully the offensive line is good enough to protect Taylor because without it, if he doesn't have protection, he's going to struggle and this thing's going to turn ugly quickly. And another reason, you protect Taylor, he could take advantage of what I think is a very compromised Buccaneers secondary. Their secondary is banged up, it's damaged, and it's very vulnerable. We can take advantage of their secondary, and we have enough weapons to do it, okay? Whether De'Ami Brown plays or not. We still got enough guys with Terry, DeAndre Carter, and Adam Humphries. We still got enough guys, and Cam Sims is back this week, and he seems to be a lot healthier. Remember, he wasn't on the injury report, so we got enough weapons to attack their secondary. Got to give Taylor time, though. That's going to be key. Next key to the game offensively. Need Heineke Ultra, not Heineke Light. Okay? I'll say that one again. We need Heineke Ultra, not Heineke Light. Okay? When we get Heineke Ultra, like we did against the Giants, like we did against the Falcons, we have a chance. And hell, even against Green Bay, even though we did not score points, Heineke, I thought, was outstanding in that game. Did make a couple of mistakes, but he gave us a chance. We just didn't score it in the red zone. And that was on him. That was on him. Terry had a drop in the end zone. That's tough to swallow, but Heineke didn't do enough in the green zone. Okay? That said, Heineke, his play, the man, ran for damn near 100 and threw for almost 300 in that game against the Packers. I thought he did some good things. We need Heineke Ultra, not Heineke Light. We've gotten Heineke Light in about 4 games this season. Saints game, Chiefs game, Bills game. All of them were stinkers and massacres and games that we lost by double-digit points. If we get Heineke Light again, the one that doesn't want to scramble, doesn't want to run, doesn't want to vacate the pocket, isn't looking to make plays, is trying to do everything perfect. I've talked about him needing to play his game. That Green Bay game was him playing his game. If he's going to have a chance to help us beat the Bucs, he's got to play his game. He's got to be Heineke Ultra. If he's Heineke Light, we're going to get our asses handed to us, and it's not going to be pretty. Next offensive key to the game. Finish strong at both halves. And this goes for really both the offense and the defense. But we haven't done a great job of scoring at the end of halves, whether it's the end of the first half or the end of the second half. And that's been one of our Achilles heels, is that we're not scoring the football late in the first half. We're not putting pressure on the opposition by scoring right before halftime, but rather giving it up right before halftime. We need to be strong at both halves and finish strong, but before halftime and at the end of the game. Last week again, or 2 weeks ago against Denver, we give up the touchdown defensively. We got a chance to go down there and score and tie the game up, and we can't do it. We had a chance to do it again. The defense pokes it free, gives it right back to the offense with 2 timeouts in 24 seconds or something along those lines, and we can't do it. We've got to find a way to finish strong at both halves of the football game. Protect the Duke. This is really non-explanatory. I don't really need to explain this. This is simple, football 101. When we turn it over, we don't have a chance because we're not good enough to have turnovers and still win. When we force turnovers, it gives us a fighting chance, and that's what we need. And so we got to protect the Duke. Tampa Bay is light years better than us. In order to have a chance against a team that is better than you, you've got to take care of the football. Meanwhile, you've got to generate a turnover or 2. But our job on offense isn't to create turnovers. It's to take turnovers that are given to the offense, whether it's great field position or not. It's another possession. Do something with it. Or to protect the football. And that's what they need to do, protect the Duke. Washington's defense versus Tampa Bay's offense. This first key is the key to the game. I said it last year when we played Tampa Bay. I say it every time a team is going up against a Tom Brady-led football team. If you don't do this first thing, the other four things are obsolete. They don't matter because he's going to shred you. Okay? If you don't do this first thing, this first key, if this is not taken care of, the rest of the keys are irrelevant because he's going to shred you. The first key to the game for Washington is to get Brady off of his spot. If Brady gets comfortable like he did in the playoff game against us last year, he's going to shred us like he did in the playoff game last year. Brady, when he doesn't have to move, when he's able to drop back, plant his feet, and then make a strong throw, it's over. So we got to get Brady off the spot. It's going to be that much tougher without Montez Sweat. Doesn't matter. Find a way to do it. I don't care if you got a blitz and you get burnt trying to do it. I don't give a shit. We got to find a way to get Brady off of his spot. And whether that's twist and stunts up front, whether that's blitzes, whether that's, a situation where you try to overload a side and, not necessarily blitz, but you just overload a side. Whatever the case may be, Brady can't be comfortable. We don't have to worry about wheels this week. But we do have to worry about Brady getting comfortable and getting surgical. Speaking of getting surgical, we got to attack the short passing game. That's the next key to the game defensively. We know Brady's going to get it out of his hands quickly. That's his MO. That's been his hallmark and calling card his entire career is he gets it out of his hands at lightning speed, at warp speed. So what you have to do is attack the short passing game, make it tough, be physical with those receivers, disrupt the timing and rhythm of the play. But more importantly, when they catch it, because they are going to catch it, tackle, tackle, tackle. We have to attack the short passing game. And part of that means when they catch it for 2 yards, tackle them at 2 yards, not tackle them at 5 yards after they, run you over and continue to pick up yards falling forward and get additional gain of 3 to get 5 on 1st and 10. If they throw a 2-yard pass, let it be a 2-yard gain. Find a way to attack the short passing game. You know they're going to do that to try to neutralize our rush. Get your hands up in the passing lanes. Be aggressive with these receivers. Put your hands on them. Try to disrupt the timing. But when they catch it, make the tackle. Next key to the game for the Washington defense, make Bucs one-dimensional. This is something I talked about in the playoff game last year, and we failed to do it. Leonard Fournette had a really solid day. He didn't rush for 100 against us, but he was really close, like 16 carries, 93, 94 yards, something like that. He dug in our ass, and we didn't do a good enough job of stopping the run against the Buccaneers in January. We need to do a better job this year, and if we're going to have a chance against the Bucs, we have to stop Leonard Fournette. We have to stop Giovanni Bernard. We got to stop Ronald Jones or whomever else they decide they want to throw in the game. Slow them down and make Brady have to beat us. I know it's almost like a pick your poison scenario, but I'd much rather have Brady throw it 42 times, which is close to his season average, than Brady throw it 29 times or 31 times, because that means they kicked our ass in the run game, they remained balanced, and Brady didn't have to do much. If Brady has to, in games that they lose, Brady's thrown it, north of 40 times. That means they were either playing from behind or they felt like they couldn't run it and attacking the defense via the pass was their best option. That's what I want. And if Brady gets us, he got us. Good. But I don't want to give it up on the ground. Make the Buccaneers one-dimensional. Next key to the game for the Washington D, make big plays. Limit big plays. The Buccaneers shredded us with big plays last year in the playoffs. You had the Antonio Brown touchdown down the sideline. We were confused in an inverted cover 2, easy touchdown. You had the Chris Godwin, touchdown on a deep over route where he beat Ronald Darby on a 3rd and long. That one stung. And then late in the game, we needed to stop, and Mike Evans was able to get deep. And it was tremendous coverage by Kendall Fuller, but just a better ball and better attacking of that football by Mike Evans to come down with the catch. So we got to limit the big plays. Can't allow, and this is a big play, big strike type of offense, quick strike type of offense in Tampa Bay. There's plenty of games and plenty instances this season of games being close. Buccaneers only up 3, Buccaneers only up 4, and then you blink twice and they're up 21 or they're up 24. It's because they have the potential to strike it at moments' notice. We have to limit their big plays and force them to matriculate the ball down the field, which Brady is perfectly comfortable doing. But I'd much rather have that happen, give us more opportunities to bat a ball in the air and pick it off, or he, is unsuspecting of pressure backside, gets hit, ball comes out. You never know what will happen. You got to give yourself a chance, and the only way to do that is to limit the big plays. And then finally, Washington's defense, their final key to the game against this Buccaneers offense is red zone defense. I preach this on the offensive side of football. It really goes both ways, similar to we got to finish strong for both halves. This defense has really struggled at the end of halves. Whether it's the first half, we've given up points, it feels like, in the last 4 out of 5 games right before halftime. Going back to the Falcons game. Obviously, we gave up the Hail Mary against the Saints. We gave up a touchdown against the Packers. I don't know if we gave up anything against the Broncos. Felt like we might have given up a field goal. Maybe we were the ones that got the field goal. Either way, we have to stop giving up touchdowns right before the half, and we have to stop allowing teams to score late in ball games when we need stops. And again, you can go all the way down the list. We got to stop against the Giants. We got to stop against the Falcons. Those were 2 games we won, but for the most part, couldn't get the stop against the Saints when we needed it. Couldn't get the stop against the Chiefs when we needed it. Couldn't get the stop against the Packers when we needed it. In that Packers game in particular, that was after the turnover early in the third quarter when Heineke gave it away on the fumble. Needed a force a field goal there. We couldn't do it. So got to find ways in the red zone to be proficient. And I'm putting it right now this defense has to be at 50% or less, meaning if the Bucs only make 2 trips into the red zone, first of all, that's a win for us. Now, that could also represent that they were scoring outside of the red zone. So Brady had a 34-yard touchdown and another 47-yard TD strike. So, it's the numbers aren't always indicative of how the game went. But if they only get in the red zone twice, that's big for us. And if they get in there twice, they can't score both times. They have to settle for a field goal or get nothing one of those times. That's 50%. And then, so forth and so forth. But if they get, 2 out of 3, we're going to lose. If they score 2 out of 3 times in the red zone, we're not going to win a shootout against the Bucs is what I'm trying to explain to you. If we're going to win this game, we got to bring them down to our level. We can't go meet them where they've been playing all season, which is into the low to mid 30s, sometimes even into the 40s. That's not our speed. That's not our speed. That's not what we're capable of. We want this game in the low to mid 20s to the high teens, preferably high teens, low 20s. But again, you're asking to stop essentially a high octane offense and limit them to just 3 scores, and I just don't see the Buccaneers being limited to just 3 scores. I'm sorry. This defense hasn't proven to me enough that they can do that. Now, they've had some better games of late, starting with the Packers game. I thought they were really solid against the Saints and the Chiefs until the second half. But, starting with that Packers game, they gave our offense a chance multiple times, and we just didn't take advantage. And obviously the Denver game, you only lose by a touchdown, and it's 17 points you give up. You feel good about that, but this isn't the Broncos. This isn't the Green Bay Packers offense. It's not the Saints or the Chiefs. It's the Buccaneers, and it's Tom Brady. So we got to be at least 50% or less in the red zone defensively to have a chance. So, the prediction. I've already told you, 33-16. So that's my score. Here's my more. We actually come out and we fight early in this football game. And we're going toe-to-toe with the champs. And things fall the hell apart in the second quarter after a Taylor Heineke interception. It changes the whole tenor of the game. We're hanging in there. It's like 10-3, Bucs up. We're right there, though. We're moving the football, and Heineke throws an inexplicable pick. And the Buccaneers take off from there, score a touchdown, get a field goal before half. It's 20-3, and they start to exert their will and dominance over us from that point forward. They run away and hide and win the game 33-16 over Washington. So That's my prediction. What is yours? What do you think is going to happen? I've already seen a ton of we're going to win this week, but I think somebody summed it up perfectly when they said, the only reason people do that is because they want to seem like they were right when they, if the Washington football team pulls this massive upset, they can say, see, I told you we were going to win, but nobody ever really calls them out when they do that. I do sometimes, but not really. So it's really a high reward, low risk proposition when you say, hey, we're going to win this week. I believe in this team. We're going to win this week. And then we get our asses kicked. A lot of times people aren't going to call you out for saying that. You're just going to let it slide. Whereas if you're right, you can easily just say, hey, I told you we were going to win, Louie. Remember, I left that in the comment section. So we're not going to win this game. We're not going to win this game. You know it, I know it deep down inside. Even if you want to believe, we're not going to win this game. But as a wise man once told me, that's why they play the game. So we'll see what happens. But in any event, I'm a Washington fan, etched in burgundy and gold. My Washington spirit will never die. Washington spirit will never fold. Until we meet again, hail to our beloved Washington football team. Looking forward to chopping it up with the members of the mob on Sunday as we watch the game together. And then after the game meets its conclusion, we will wrap it all up on overtime. And hopefully we're talking about a Washington win. Don't hold your breath. In any event, that's going to do it for me, your man, Louie T. Enjoy your weekend. Looking forward to chopping it up with you on Sunday. And I just, like I told my buddy, one of my best friends is a Buccaneers fan. Just take it easy on us, man. Look, it's just little old Washington. Just take it easy on us, man. We don't want any smoke. We're not trying to derail anybody's Super Bowl hopes. Just take it easy on us, will you? We'll see if he takes heed to that message or not. Buccaneers coming off of a loss on their bye, or prior to their bye week. They're pissed and they're ornery, and looks like we're the team that they're going to probably try and take their frustrations out on. So doesn't look good for us, but we'll see if the good guys can prevail or not. Until then, enjoy your weekend. I'll see you guys next time.
Here comes the diesel. Here comes the diesel. There's the snap, hand to Riggins. Good hold. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone. The